Behind the Shades.
Brooke, so now that you're post divorce and post
Mhm.
marriage, one thing that I like to ask, especially the women, because I know the
Yeah.
dynamic is probably a little bit different for them than it is for the men. Would you or do you see yourself getting married again?
It's an interesting question. I'm so glad you asked that because I think women are very quick to count it out after a divorce. And so I will say post divorce, I would have told you 2 or 3 years ago that no, I will not get married again. I will probably die alone, a woman on the beach, with my things and my dogs. But life happens, and I am in a new relationship. I am in a blended family. I'm a couple years into this, and I do want to get married again. I want that. I think that we learn from these previous experiences, and I take being a wife very, very serious and in a different fashion. Not that I didn't take it serious for 17 years in my first marriage, but there are things that I value more after learning the first go round, that I want to show up for my husband differently. I want to show up and nurture my family differently. I want to serve myself first so that I can be the woman, the wife, the mother that they need from me. So absolutely, I do want to get married.
I know that breaking up can be difficult, but it seems that we are able to, even though the dynamic is different, we're able to bounce back quicker from, let's say, a relationship ending versus, let's say, like a marriage or a long-term one where there's people living together and if there's children. And I think you raised a good point that I have to look into is that it just appears that women are impacted more. They'll take longer to have a serious relationship afterwards, where men,
Mhm.
on the other hand, they can say, I want to be married. Because,
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, it's okay if you're divorced twice, three times. That's okay because that shows that you've at least tried. Now, if you're making the same mistake over and over again, that's a different conversation, obviously,
yeah, yeah.
right? But it's good to see someone like yourself expressing that, yes, I've been able to bounce back. This is what I'm doing, especially when there's children involved, because I know sometimes that can maybe, at least for women anyways, they may feel that that's kind of like something that's going to hold them back. Who's going to want me if I have children? Did you have those
Right.
conversations within yourself?
I never had those conversations, to be honest. I do think, and maybe this will come up later in our conversation, it is very interesting to watch the difference in how men rebound from divorce versus women. I found that to be very, very almost shocking in my situation. But no, I never felt like, oh, no one will want me. I've been married. I have these kids. I never felt that. If anything, I was very, very protective of my bubble after my divorce. I mean, my girlfriends will tell you it was like, if I'm going to date, it will be no one in the United States. Like literally, I had some major like boundaries. I will rendezvous out of the country, but no, I don't want anybody in the United States. And then it was like, no one outside of, or no one in the state of Colorado. I don't want anybody around my kids. I don't want anyone distracting me from my business. Like, and I do think that was crucial and very important because my energetic space was was very much impacted. It was very sensitive in those first couple years after divorce. And so I had to be very, very protective of that. I was probably a little extreme, let's be honest, but I'm okay now.
There's a girl I used to date. She had a similar mentality.
Yeah,
We're in different, well, in Canada, we call it provinces, but let's say state as an example. We're in two different parts
yeah,
of the state, right? So
yeah,
it was like maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours between the two of us. And
yeah.
she would date people in the United States. She would drive over there. She'd spend the weekend. And that was like her boundary where it was like, I'm not dating anyone in my city.
Yeah, I
Right.
get it.
And I would try to
I get
ask why. She's like, nope, not at all. If it's 2, 3 hours, I'm okay with that. I met her probably 2.5 hours from where she lived, where we met, and then got
it.
introduced and everything at that time, right?
Yeah,
And when we started initially talking, when she shared that, she's like, yeah, I dated someone that used to live 4 hours. He was in the States, so different country like you, right? She had this boundary. It was like, no, no, no. And what I found, because this was maybe like 10 years ago, what I found, Brooke, as I got older, I began to realize how more common that actually was, because when I was in my 20s, I couldn't even imagine dating someone that was an hour away. And here I am in my 30s. I'm like, this can actually work. There's people out of country. There's people 4 hours away. There's people where you actually have to fly to meet them. So when you're speaking to some of these people and you're going through that dynamic, why do you think it's maybe easier for men or versus women to make that type of commitment, as you mentioned, post-divorce, but trying to figure out who they're going to navigate and date next?
So 2 things came up for me, and I'm not saying the distance was the best option. I think for me, it was a protection mechanism. And I think we have to be cautious if we go that route, because can we truly give ourselves fully if we are operating under fear and protection? So that's one thing, and we might circle back around to that topic. For men, I felt like the biggest difference is that, and I honestly admired this fact, is, when my ex-husband, we've been together 17 years and he moves out of the marital home and then like 3 months later has a girlfriend. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I don't want to be married to you, but I feel like I just got replaced as the household dog. The old dog gets replaced by the puppy, like that's what I felt like. And it was just like, wow, that was fast. And so not that men are going out there trying to replace something. Maybe some are. I don't think they all are. I think that men have the ability to let their guard down a bit easier and just to put themselves out there. And again, I actually really admire that, because it took me years to be able to fully give myself. And once I got there, I realized what I was doing. The protection and operating in fear is not really the solution. I mean, it keeps you safe and comfortable and at arm's length. But it's not the way to have a natural, true, flourishing relationship dynamic where you can fully give yourself. And that's what I learned.
I would give you the male perspective to that, because I experienced that. And
I would love it.
And someone mentioned that to me. She was like, how can you rebound? How can you be interested in someone so quickly or go on a date or whatever? And I just didn't count. I didn't say, okay, it has to be 180 days, right? But from the male's perspective, I guess because we get rejected so much more than women, because we ask you out and things like that, I think we develop maybe a thicker skin, or at least a thicker mentality when it comes to that, saying that my marriage has ended. She doesn't want to be with me anymore. I get it. It hurts. But like so many other women who have told me, no, Train, I don't want to date you. No, Train, this is not working. I'm not interested. It's the same type of mentality when we move forward. Maybe whereas, for example, for women, because you don't deal with the no or the rejection as often as men, when you get the no, it's like, oh, he doesn't want me. Did I do something wrong? What can I do to fix it? Right? I think women tend to have that innate conversation more so than men, because for us,
absolutely,
you're one of 100 women that have told us no.
Right? It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game for you. But yes, when we deal with that, it is, what's wrong with me? What did I do? It definitely can be that.